It's been hyped for months now, has just toured the world inside a fully customised Boeing 777F cargo plane, looks like the illicit love affair between the production BMW i3 and an SUV, and says BMW is the first fruits of a Project I 2.0. I am, of course, talking about the BMW Vision iNEXT concept car, BMW's latest study into what it hopes its i-brand vehicles will look like in the future. It's certainly 100% concept at this stage, more on that later, but it also promises full autonomy and a manual driving mode that harkens back to BMW's famous ultimate driving machine slogan. But is it really what an all-electric BMW of the future will look like? And what is it trying to tell us about BMW's goals moving forwards? To answer that question, it's probably best to go back and look at the i3, a car that's clearly given the iNEXT a lot of its design DNA. Back in 2013, the i3 electric car was launched under the then brand new BMW i sub-brand, a brand conceived to allow BMW to test new powertrains and construction techniques. It was conceived as a small city car that focused on efficiency, offering what was then the best energy consumption figure of any electric car out there. A large portion of the i3, like its plug-in hybrid sports car sibling, the i8 Coupe, was constructed with lightweight carbon fibre reinforced plastic. This not only lightened the car and contributed towards its energy efficiency, but also lowered the total carbon footprint of vehicle production. The i3 was designed to slot into the subcompact end of the premium plug-in car marketplace. Its sticker price reflected that, placing it above other similar-sized and sometimes even larger electric cars from less premium brands. While not everyone liked the quirky stylings of the BMW i3, just over 100,000 examples have been sold worldwide since 2013, and the technology developed and refined in the i3, as well as its limited production test fleet precursors, the Active E and Mini E, has led BMW to develop both plug-in hybrid and all-electric technology for its mainstream and mini brands. It essentially allowed BMW to design and test electric vehicle tech outside of the mainstream brand, testing the waters for an all-electric future until it was sure that EV technology would sell. And this brings us back nicely to the Vision iNEXT and what I think is its purpose. These days, BMW seems committed to electric cars, and its execs and engineers reiterate this regularly. It's even bringing its first all-electric model to the mainstream brand in just over a year's time, in the form of the iX3, an all-electric, long-range, fast-charging version of the new BMW X3 compact crossover, which means the iNEXT just has to be more than an electric SUV. Instead, it's a technology and design vision for what BMW thinks it may be building sometime in the next 10 years. And that means a lot of technology we haven't seen in its production vehicles. There's a promised range of 370 miles or 600 kilometres on the overly optimistic NEDC test cycle. There's a pair of electric motors which give a sub-4-second stoplight sprint time and autonomous driving tech. But remember, this is a concept, not a pre-production vehicle, and that means specs are, as usual, a little vague. Interestingly though, unlike some concepts, these specs seem achievable, given that the Vision iNEXT is large, and some commentators have noted worthy of the iX7 or iX9 badge, indicating it would sit at the top end of any BMW range if produced. The battery specs quoted are certainly achievable by today's technology. However, I'm going to predict such a battery would be solid-state rather than lithium-ion, since BMW has been heavily investing in solid-state technology for a number of years and has said multiple times it has the secret sauce to be first to bring solid-state batteries to market in its electric cars. Outside of the electric drivetrain, BMW says the Vision iNEXT showcases what it hopes will be a vehicle capable of full Level 5 autonomy where legal and Level 3 autonomous driving elsewhere. That means a car that can handle select parts of the journey by itself, but may require a human to tackle other parts of the journey, and requires the human to be ready to take over from it at any time. In this mode of operation, BMW wants its cars to hand back precious time to their owners, allowing them to relax or work rather than having to drive. This is why it hopes vehicles will become their owners' new favourite place. There's a voice-activated assistant. Hey, BMW is the key word here. Interactive touch surfaces, there's a rear seat that responds to gesture-based controls on its surface, and plenty of boutique design elements like the weird multicolour suede-like fabric on the rear seat. Inside and out, there's also fully integrated LED lighting, including super narrow, aggressive headlights to ensure the styling language remains consistent. And of course, they're those massive 24-inch wheels that, despite their size, are in proportion with the car. Like Nissan's recent concepts, however, BMW is adamant that it wants to give the driver a choice of when to drive and when not, giving drivers a choice of ease mode, fully autonomous, or boost, fully manual operation. Of course, I could go into the language used in BMW's press materials on this. BMW of its usual paraphrasic self in this regard, throwing around more superlatives than I've seen in the last month, but I think you get the gist. So what of the BMW Vision iNEXT? Well, it's certainly a concept car at the moment, but BMW is adamant it previews a car it hopes to bring into production by 2022, after it's produced the BMW iX3 and i4 to market in 2020 and 2021 respectively. And while I'm sure that most of the four-seat interior of this concept will give way to a more practical, reassuringly mundane one, I think too that the design language of the outside of this car will remain pretty locked in, from the high hood and narrow headlights to the kinked waistline and pillarless rear hinged door borrowed from the i3. In its most basic form then, I think this is what the BMW iX7 or iX9 or whatever else it's called will look like from outside. But will it contain the inside tech? Well, I've yet to see a concept car become a production vehicle without serious interior modification, so I don't think so. That's it. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.